Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to our session of Minecraft and learning. I don't know, how am I supposed to say this? I guess I better say it the other way around, right? We're going to be doing Exploring Life Systems today with Minecraft Education Edition. So I know that a lot of you are very excited. We already have somebody in our chat, which is pretty amazing, that is already saying, I love Minecraft. So Maya, it's good to have you here with us already. But first of all, before we get going too much, we'll make sure that we have all of you in. We know that it's a busy morning to get started right off the bat as soon as you come in from the bell, from getting off the buses and things. So we'll do our little introduction and slowly get everybody here and make sure that we have everybody all set up before we get really started. So I'm Mary Walker Hope. Hi, everybody. I'm an educational consultant who lives in Brighton, Ontario. So I'm down on Lake Ontario, so a little bit farther away from where all of you are, but the gentleman who is with me today is even farther from you than I. So Dan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Mary. Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Noble. I'm also an educational consultant, mostly focusing on Minecraft education. I'm currently located in Dumfries, Scotland. So yeah, definitely quite a bit away further from you, although I used to live more recently in Guelph, Ontario, and my pronouns are he and him.
And I'm just thinking as well, Dan, if we were to think about who between the two of us, or between I guess the three of all of us, who is farther north, who do you think it would be? Would it be you, or would it be our friends up in Superior North?
That's a good question. I think I'm actually considerably further north. I think a lot of the UK is on the same latitude as Labrador.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. That's good. All right. So going into that as well, thinking of our lands, I want to acknowledge that I'm presenting actually from the territory of the local people of the 1923 Williams Treaty. It's the Anishinaabe-Waukee, the Mississauga, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people. I'm really fortunate to be able to enjoy and share with you from the lands and the waters of this region. And that little picture that I have there is actually a picture that I went with my husband on a little walk. We live right by Lake Ontario, as I said, but we are in Brighton and we have a provincial park right near us. And so we can walk down to the water, down to Presqu'île anytime we want. And I built a little snowman on top of a log, and I have a little thing called a lens ball. And the lens ball just makes everything turn upside down or goes into the circle of it anyway. So that's a picture that I took down right on Lake Ontario. All right. Okay, so we're the Cobblestone Collection, or Collective. I do that quite often. Cobblestone Collective, and we're a group of educators who help out and do things a lot online right now, especially with the last couple of years. And we love being able to bring technology and education and just help learn with you as well, do lessons and things with anybody around the world. So today we're really lucky, and we want to say thank you to Cara Figliomeni, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, and Sarah Close. And both of these two women have set up for you to have this workshop today with Dan and I, and using Minecraft Education Edition. All right. So we have a plan today. We've got a great plan, actually. We're going to be taking a look at ecosystems, which in grade 5 and 6 is something that is a big deal for you in science. We're going to do a little brief overview just to make sure that we're kind of all on the same page, and that we all have the same kind of language that we're going to be using. We're going to take a look at the Frozen Planet 2 Frozen Ocean Minecraft world. So that's one of the worlds that we're going to go into today. And then we have a build challenge for you as well. So we're going to get you building in Minecraft as well. So if you've never done Minecraft before, don't worry. If you're an expert at Minecraft, beautiful. It makes no odds. Everybody's going to be able to have some success today anyways. And then we have some questions and answers as well. So we'll have a way of being able to talk with you that's a little bit different. So our rules for today are: be open to learning, pause and play if you get stuck. And that's a really important one, because this is all being recorded. So no matter when you pause, as soon as you unpause, you're going to be right back in the lesson again. So you don't have to worry. Nobody needs to be stressed at all. And hello, all those people that are just joining us now as well. We're just getting into this, so don't worry. The last thing is explore, build, have some fun this morning. And we'll see how far and where your teachers want you to take this after we're finished being with you today, just Dan and I. So we need to hear from you. And we're noticing we have another screen set up, both Dan and I, that shows us people that are coming in and being able to talk to us. So obviously some people have done this before, which is great. So we have a form that we want you to fill out. And if you can open up a new tab on your computer or on your screen, if you have a Chromebook and you need just your teacher to do this, so that we know that it's a bit weird to try and do Chromebook different tabs, but just somebody, as long as we have a contact with you, that's great. So if you open up a new tab and type in the cc dot page /SNCDSB, that's your school board, then you will be able to see a form there. And on that form, it's going to ask you to put your first name only. So please just put your first name, and we're going to actually have you tell us, if you can, what grade you're in and where you're coming from. So what I asked last time when we were talking to your grade 7 and 8 students last week, I asked them where they were, what school they were from. And I know the towns where all of your schools are. So maybe put down the town as well so that we know where that is. And bonus points if you can tell us what an ecosystem is. How much do you already know about ecosystems? Or is this just a new topic that you're just getting into? All right. So Dan, are you seeing some stuff starting to come in there?
Yes, I am starting to see some stuff. So we have lots of people. We've got Tyson and Maya telling us how much they love Minecraft. And we've got greetings from the Holy Angel School 5 and 6.
Great. And they're in Schreiber. Okay, so we've got Schreiber. Okay, we know we have Schreiber. That's great. I know that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There should be 9 different schools, elementary schools that are in this board. So let's see whether or not we can get some from some of the other places too.
Yeah, we've got Mrs. Roy's class from Nipigon, Ontario at St. Edward Catholic School.
Perfect.
Ashley from Our Lady of Lourdes in Manitouwadge.
Excellent.
Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that properly.
Oh, there we go. So Levi is there too in Manitouwadge. That's great as well. Oh, and Manitouwadge too for Patricia. Excellent. Sean is in grade 6 in Nipigon. And we've got STHS, St. Teresa's something school maybe?
St. Hilary in Red Rock.
Red Rock. There we go. St. Hilary in Red Rock. That's amazing. That's great. Oh, perfect. Excellent. Eli as well. So Nipigon, St. Edward's. Oh, this is great. That's wonderful. So we're getting some people from all over. I wonder if we have anybody from Geraldton. We didn't have anybody from Geraldton last time, so I'm wondering if there's anybody from there this time. And the other one, Marathon. Is anybody from Marathon yet? No, I see Our Lady of Lourdes there again too. That's great. So Vanessa, Maya, Anders, hi everybody. Glad that you can join us. This is great. And this is the way that we're going to be able to talk to you. So all during the whole entire session today, if you have a question at all, if you have something that you just want to share because it's like so exciting, then please do that, because we love being able to have at least this much of a conversation with you as well. All right, so that's going to be the form. That's where you need to be as well. Now, I see that Ahmed was able to actually put in what they think an ecosystem is. So it's a biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. Those are big words. All right, so let's see what those translate to in smaller words, right? So what else can it mean? If anybody else has got that in there, that's great as well. It looks like we have Annika and Charlie and Patricia and Denny. Oh, Denny's in Long Lac. We've got a Long Lac person. That's great. That's wonderful. And St. Edward's for Kona in Nipigon. So we're getting people that are definitely coming in there. That's perfect. All right. I'm going to keep going. Please keep putting things in as well, because Dan's going to be watching there too and do some shout outs with us. But we just want to remind everybody, please make sure if you have any troubles whatsoever, just pause, rewind it if you need to, play again, we're here, it's all recorded, and you don't have to worry about missing anything. You won't miss anything except for being able to chat back and forth live with us like this. That's it. Okay. All right, so ecosystems, right? An ecosystem is a geographic area. Absolutely. It's a contained space where plants, animals, and other organisms, as well as the weather, the landscape, work together. So I love the last two lines in this because the work together thing is what is so important. And we're going to be talking as well about human interaction into those ecosystems and whether that working together is always a thing that is in people's minds when they actually interact in these ecosystems. So tell us in the forum, here's your first one to go. And I see that Kyra and Meadow from Long Lac are here as well, which is great. I want you to put in an example of an ecosystem, if you could, please. So think about what kinds of ecosystems are in the whole world, okay? And just put that in. And in the meantime, Dan, I'll let you do a few shout outs there while they're getting things in.
All right. So we've got Wyatt from Nippigan at St. Edward. And Charles says an ecosystem is like a system. And Benjamin, an ecosystem is a place full of life.
Nice. I like that one as well. That's really a good idea. Yeah. Okay, so Emmett is saying a lake is an ecosystem. Absolutely. That's great. The ocean, Cohen is saying an ocean is. Yep. And Ahmed said, yep, ocean as well. We have Paisley and Parker. Parker's from Long Lac as well, so we see that as well.
Oh, Annika's got a rainforest. It's definitely a ecosystem.
Definitely. Yep. Hey, good one, Dan. I see that Dan has said Scotland is an ecosystem.
We certainly have ecosystems here in Scotland.
That's right.
And one thing actually I learned the other day, like when we say rainforest, we typically think of, South America and the jungle and whatnot, but there's such a thing as a temperate rainforest. So the forest that you would find in Ontario or the forest that you would find in Scotland or the United Kingdom in general. So those are temperate rainforests.
Right. They're not the tropical rainforest
That's
that we
right.
think of from
but
down
they are
south.
Ecosystems all on their own with their own individual, interesting little subtleties.
That's right. And I love that the STHS grade 5-6 class is saying a swamp and a pond, that it doesn't have to be an enormous, huge area. A pond is definitely an ecosystem. Kate says a river, Ashley a swamp. Charles, freshwater ecosystems, absolutely. And Josh and Levi are thinking, and Annika, we're saying about them, are just forests as well, which is so true. Well done. Yep, absolutely. So we have some examples here that you've already been coming into as well. One of the ones that we humans love to go take a look at, as a matter of fact, is the ecosystem that's in the ocean. So if we take a look even at this ecosystem, we can see that the coral reefs are one of the most diverse ecosystems that we have. There are so many different fish, and then larger predators that, like, as we know, ecosystems are made up of, starting off with just the producers, right? The little algae and everything that's in the reef and everything. But as it goes along, it supports a huge amount of different types of wildlife. So it's kind of neat. Then we have things like, oops, I don't think it moved forward. Let me go ahead here. Sorry. What we were just talking about as well, right? Swamps. And this swamp isn't a swamp that's up here in Canada at all. This swamp is actually down near New Orleans in Louisiana, so down in the southern states. And I know that in this swamp there are now crocodiles, alligators. You'll have to tell me, because the two of them, I know crocodiles are found in one spot, alligators in another. And for the life of me, for my entire teaching career, I have never kept them straight. So I'm not going to even pretend that I'm going to say it the right way now. So swamps are there as well. And that's land that is partly submerged in water all year long. So again, very diverse, different species that would be found there. What about this one? going up to the Arctic, right? So the Arctic is the the most northern region of the Earth, and so many diverse things. And we're going to take a look at that as well. And that we know, I mean, one animal obviously is the polar bear that lives up there, but obviously the polar bear can't survive without having other animals that are there as its food source as well. And the Arctic is actually really important too, anyways, just with the fact that it is so white, believe it or not, that it actually reflects sun. So every time that we say, well, the Arctic ice is starting to shrink, not good for everybody. It's not just bad just for the polar bears as well. Again, get into those things. So we have predators, right? Organisms that primarily obtain energy by consuming other organisms. That would be I will let you come into that as well. The prey, right? Organisms that are hunted and killed by the predator. And you got to think as well, and I'm sure you've already looked at this, that some predators are also prey, right? Because it's a chain. There's definitely a food chain that goes on in every ecosystem. And scavengers are the organisms that mostly consume decaying biomass, such as meat or rotting plant materials. When we think about in a forest, and we'll likely look at a little bit of that too, just a temperate forest, you will have the leaves fall down onto the ground. And of course, as they decay, then fungi can actually feed off that as well, and little snails and those kind of things as well. So everything has a purpose in an ecosystem. All right, so love to hear from you again. Tell us an example of a predator and a prey. So think about any ecosystem, maybe the one that you already told us about. And in that ecosystem, what was one predator that you know of and one prey that you know of in there?
And I'm just interesting. I'm seeing Vanessa had posted that Titanic is an ecosystem. And that's very true. It is a unique ecosystem on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, and that's evolved, hasn't it?
Yes.
Mean, obviously it was never there before. And so the fact that it's been there now for 100 years, yeah, it's amazing what's happened. And Ahmed was telling me alligators, I think. Yeah. So thanks, Ahmed. I appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah. So we've got some predators and prey coming through. We've got Levi, a predator would be a wolf, and a prey would be a rabbit. And Tyson saying a wolf and an otter.
Oh, yeah. And we got a shark snake for the predator and a deer and moose, sorry, for the shark and snake. I read it as shark snake. It's a shark snake. Didn't you know? Shark and snake. Yes, absolutely. And wolf and otter, you were saying. Now, I don't know what kawawa is. Patricia had posted that. So that's new to me. Yeah, I'm not sure what that actually is. And the St. Ed's grade 6 class, I don't think you mentioned theirs, did you? Predators were bears and the prey was the deer.
No. Yes.
Yeah, and Levi as well. Thanks, Levi, as well. And it's funny because Emmett said a fox. And I like the fact that, and I don't know if I'm interpreting this the right way or not, Emmett, but a fox is a predator, but it's also a prey. And that's exactly what we're saying, right? Is that if they're on wherever they are on that food chain, then they can be both. All right, thanks. All right, so we just took a very, very quick look for an idea here in the rainforest, okay? We were talking about it earlier. So we have some primary consumers here. These guys are all eating the grass and the leaves and the mushrooms and things like that. We have some carnivores here. We've got a jaguar. So if you take a look there, we were talking about those snakes earlier, the shark snake. Well, this is a boa constrictor snake. We're good. So like the squirrel monkey can be eaten by the boa constrictor, obviously, right? And so can this, it's just, but scavengers, you'll see that they're in there taking a look and finding things. So the decomposers on the bottom here, they are going to be taking the what's left over and what is dead, right? So that's what's going to be happening as well. And producers, green plants, all that kind of stuff. So just good to have that language in your mind just for now as well before we get into our build. All right. So one more way that we can look at this in an ecosystem is that we can have biotic and abiotic factors that are coming into the ecosystem. So I'm hoping in your minds you're thinking biotic, biology. So biology for me, it means that something is alive. And so a biotic factor is a living organism. So things like all the birds, they've got butterflies there that they're showing, and beetles. It could be that jaguar that we saw, or the sloth, or the python, or the boa constrictor. Humans, all of those things are the factors, are the components that are biotic. Okay, so they're alive. We also, though, have the abiotic factors as well, and those are the non-living things. So they all contribute. If we didn't have them, we couldn't have the ecosystem. If we didn't have the sun, there's no way that we would be able to have anything growing at all, right? We need the sun for the chlorophyll, for in the plants, all that sort of thing. Water we have to have. If the water isn't there, then of course the plants can't grow. We can't, people wouldn't be able to stay alive. Our bodies are made up of 75% water. So all of those things have to be there as well. The temperature, and that's huge, right, Dan? Like, I mean, you think about the temperature in Scotland. Well, no, I shouldn't do that. Right now, you're warmer than us. But
we're 9 degrees today.
9 degrees. Okay, there you go. All right. So, but that is what actually creates that environment, so that we know that a desert biome or a desert ecosystem is there because of the lack of water and the heat and so much sun. Whereas down a tropical rainforest is getting nice sun, but lots of water, and so all that totally makes they're all factors that go into it as well, and the type of soil. So abiotic and biotic. All right. So if we take a look at this little diagram, we can see that in this ecosystem there are all kinds of factors. So I think what would be the best thing to do, because I don't think that the slide deck works the proper way that it should with having each one show up on its own. If I hit the click here, it's going to actually change it. So just take a look at all the things that you see there. In your minds, think about or talk with your classmates. What things there do you see that are biotic? Which ones are living? And then take a look as well and see which things there are abiotic. Talk to your neighbor, talk to your elbow partner. Your teacher might be asking you right now. Okay? And now let's see what you got right. Okay. And I think if you take a look, I think it's everything that we talked about just in the last slide. Okay, the land, the sun, the temperature, the water, the sand over here. Yeah, I think I said that. All those things are the abiotic. Everything else that's living, of course, is biotic. Okay, so we need to keep that language in our minds too for what we're going to be doing later as well. Okay. Unfortunately, though, and we know this is where we come into the whole human impact part of this, the ecosystems are at risk. And ecosystems have been at risk for a long time because we've kind of interfered a little bit for quite some time as well. So I'm going to ask and see what you know already about what kind of impacts are happening already in ecosystems that are negatively affecting them. Okay, so what's happening right now that you can think of in any ecosystem that you want to think about? What is affecting ecosystems right now that is not helping them to thrive?
Why it's got pollution.
Oh, already. Yeah, absolutely. Climate change, says Anders, which is absolutely right? And that's exactly what we were just saying. You know, we have to have that proper temperature for that ecosystem to still keep on thriving. St. Ed's in grade 6, they're saying pollution as well. Ashley is saying pollution. Denny, fire. Oh, well done. That's true, right? And it's interesting, Denny, that you say that, because there are certain ecosystems that have to have fire. That is geared right into the cycle of their life, is by having fire, is that certain seeds won't even mature without being getting on fire. So it's kind of interesting, but you're right. Usually fire going through an ecosystem is not a good thing. What else do we have there?
Oh, we've got deforestation and cutting down or taking down trees.
Yes,
Very good.
Ashley's saying hunting. Emmett, wars. You're right.
Hmm.
Kate, COVID, which is interesting. That would be a neat thing that I'd love to have a discussion about. That's kind of cool to think about how that's happening. Cody is saying leaving trash on the ground, and Keegan again, deforestation. Paisley is talking about littering, and Ahmed, global warming with everything
Hmm.
warming up. And a rhino is an animal that might go extinct, which is kind of crazy, isn't it? When you always think of all these animals that they're always around. But yeah, if their ecosystem is being harmed, then that happens as well. Darian is saying taking down trees, and Holden's saying the same thing. Ashley, logging. So there you go. I think especially if you think about uh, out in the in BC, out in the West Coast, that's something that's had to have been looked at very carefully because it was being overlogged as well. Littering from Cody, oil and smoke from Aubrey. Oh, Benjamin, the Great Barrier Reef. Okay, so what's happening in the Great Barrier Reef that is a negative effect, and we can take a look at that as well. Pollution, cutting down trees, littering, trash in the water, says Levi. Hillary was saying about pollution, global warming from Harper, Charlie, oil drilling, right? And St. Hilary is saying about car emissions. That's right.
Hmm.
I haven't seen. I mean, a lot of these are human factors, but you're right. It's what humans are actually doing that a lot of those things are there, right? Animals don't drill for oil. Animals don't drive cars yet. So all those things are things that are human impacts that we have to think about. And I love the overhunting as well that was in there too. And you guys have come up with literally all the ones that I had as examples. So that's amazing. Well done. So these are just some pictures of some of the things that have been happening. When we talked about the coral reefs, coral bleaching is happening at the Great Barrier Reef. And maybe that's what Benjamin and Luke were talking about, is the fact that this coral should be vibrant and beautiful and colorful and have thousands of fish, hanging around and doing things. But warm water gets stressed. So the tiny little algae that normally lives right on the coral, it gets killed because the water, it gets too warm. So again, we were talking about temperature, how important that was. That's what's going on here as well. And I just noticed that we may have a few more friends that have just joined us. So I don't know, Dan, whether you can pop the banner up just on the bottom for them to know how to get a hold of us in the forum so that they can chat with us too, just to be sure with that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. Just so it's there too. We were talking about fire, air pollution, right? Industrial emissions from factories and vehicles, but smoke from wildfires as well. And this is an area down in California again that it pollutes the atmosphere, and the neighboring ecosystems really have a rough time then. Believe it or not, we even have, when we talk about light. Light can actually be a stressor on ecosystems. We have so many street lights now and building lights. It all contributes to light pollution. So it's actually we're getting used to it ourselves. But light at night is actually not a natural thing, right? Stars and the moon are what would normally be out there, but with all the extra light that's happening, it can actually cause stress as well for different environments, for animals and for humans. And of course, when we think about the ocean, and we had some people mentioning about the ocean as well, there's this great big huge, unfortunately, great big huge blob of plastic that right now is in the ocean. And you can definitely take a look at that. It's a whole different study to actually go into. But believe it or not, just like the Titanic, nature is taking a way of having organisms start to actually live in the plastic and start another ecosystem as well. I mean, it needs to be getting rid of, but that's the way that nature works. Is it tries to keep working with whatever we throw at it. All right. So we know about how all those things are happening, but how does it impact us as a human? So what's going on with these negative impacts or the things that are happening? in those ecosystems, why should we care, right? Does it bother us? Does it do anything to us? Tell us some of the stuff that you think about that. So how do these things impact us? And just while they're doing that, actually, Dan, I'm seeing some of our other answers as well, right? Drying is saying the water temperature is changing. Ahmed is talking about nuclear reactions, right? Can be toxic to animals and humans as well. Benjamin, the earth is being affected, right? Because of all the pollution. And Charles is saying that turtles eat that plastic and they die because they can't digest it. And you're right. Yeah, there's a lot of things. Birds, unfortunately, get rings sometimes caught on their beaks and they can't open their mouths, and same thing happens, right? All this, the plastic that we have out there.
Oh, I'm starting to see lots of responses here.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yes. So, yeah, I mean, we've got Ahmed. If the food chain, if an animal goes extinct, that could affect the food chain, definitely. Our drinking water, Charlie mentioning that, and Sandra saying we could kill fish that we could potentially eat.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, there's all kinds. And Andrew's bad air quality as well. This is wonderful. Yeah. Keegan, trees give oxygen. If we cut them down, then again, we're not getting that same amount of oxygen for ourselves. Humans just need whatever they want. And unfortunately, you've got a point there as well, that sometimes we don't think about the other things that are happening. We're thinking about, well, I need this, right? So that's why it's a good thing to have. So it's good to be thinking about it. That's for sure. Littering is causing the earth to die. Pollution puts chemicals into the air, says Josh. And Paisley was talking as well. Cities are flooding, Emmett is saying, because of, if that's right, if an ecosystem doesn't have those trees up river, then we're now getting way more flooding that's happening. And that's definitely affecting us, right? Towns and cities are getting flooded all the time. And it's making the air bad. And of course, then it's definitely all kinds more people having respiratory problems as well. Yeah. Okay. Oh, so are there things that we can do then? I'm sure that that's got to be something that's coming up, right? What can you do as an individual to help protect our planet? Because there are things that we can all do. And if we keep thinking about them and keep talking about them, then maybe more and more people will do them as well. So tell us, if you've got an idea there, what do you think we can do as an individual to help protect the earth? And I've got one right away. And I try my very, very best all the time. I walk everywhere that I possibly can. So we live in town, my husband and I. We only usually go up to get groceries as we need them. So I try not to have too much so that we didn't have to have as big of a fridge. So I know it's all just small little things, but I don't take my car unless I absolutely have to go somewhere else. We walk everywhere or we bike. And we live in a gorgeous area anyway, so it's a total treat to do that. So we're getting exercise as well and helping to keep ourselves healthy too. What about you, Dan?
Like yourself, we try to walk as much to most things as if we can. Also, our house is a new build, and a lot of new builds in Scotland come with solar panels. So we don't have battery storage for those solar panels. So what it means is that during the day, if we have a bright sunny day like we do today, we'll do our laundry on a bright sunny day so that we're only using electricity really from the solar as opposed to pulling from the grid. So that's what we were doing this afternoon before I jumped on the call. We had some loads of laundry on and we were doing the dishes.
Oh, that's great. That's cool, right? And that's something that individually you can do. And I love too that Levi's saying, try not to use as much plastic. And absolutely, right? Just even your water bottle. That's the huge thing. Just to have your own water bottle instead of using plastic, right? Well, you guys have been great. This has been super. And like I said, we wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page before we started getting into Minecraft and doing our build. So we just wanted to take just a moment just to summarize up. So we know that ecosystems have to have all these different things in them that work together. And that's why at the very beginning, we were talking about that working together. It's so, so important. So and trying to make sure that ecosystems are not negatively impacted. So we know that we can do things like don't litter. And I really hope that that is totally in everybody's minds now, that that isn't even really something we should have to talk about anymore. But for you as students at school, right, bring along containers instead of having plastic, or instead of having containers that you throw out at the end of the time. Try to have a thermos if you can, or something like that, instead, that you take home every day and you can bring back. Then you're not using that extra plastic. Save electricity. Turn off those lights when you leave the classroom. That's one you can do. And save water by turning off the taps, especially right when you're in between. Or the one thing that we always had was our kids. What we always said to them, it's like, turn off the tap when you're brushing your teeth. You don't need the tap running while you're brushing your teeth. Just put it back on again at the end. It's one of those little things, right? And walking on public transportation. All right. Well, you've done a great job. So let's get in and get doing some stuff in Minecraft as well, because I know that you guys are very excited about seeing that too. But I'm so glad that we have our baseline of what we're going to be talking and thinking about. We can all use the same kind of language then as well. So we're going to actually be going into Minecraft Education Edition. So we need to make sure that you all have that on your device that you're working on, and you're going to make sure that you get into the first screen here. We're going to be going in and going into play, but I just want to show one more. Yeah, I thought that was next. We've got to make sure that everybody's game's loaded first, so make sure that is there. You're going into Minecraft Education Edition, and again, if you have to pause us, do that, and then come back in and join us again. But once everybody's game is loaded, and you know that it's there, and hopefully you're able to get that up ready before we started today, you're going to be going into the library. So you're going to be checking into the library. And then you are going to type in Frozen Planet up into the search bar. So Frozen Planet, F-R-O-Z-E-N, Planet, P-L-A-N-E-T. Okay, Frozen Planet. And we're going to have Dan actually do this as well live, right? So you'll be able to see this too, so don't worry. Or Dan, are you already in?
At the first scheme.
Okay.
Still waiting.
Perfect, that's great. And then you are going to search in the library, and you'll see that you'll come upon Frozen Ocean. And this is the one that we're going to take a look at. And I think, Dan, you're going to talk about this anyways when we get to there. So I'm just going to give instructions for the moment. Frozen Ocean. And then again, we just wait for everybody there. Okay, so we'll just wait at that point. Okay. But while we're waiting as well, and while everybody is loading, if this is your first time exploring in Minecraft Education Edition, please let us know, because that's going to kind of inform the way that we talk and do things today too with the lesson. So if not, what else have you explored in? So we'd love to hear what other worlds you've been in as well. Okay, so if it's your first time, just let us know in the forum. And if it's not, tell us what else you've been working on. And I'm going to switch the screens now so that Dan is going to show you live as well what's going on. But remember, just pause if you need to, right? Just we'll be right here ready for you again.
Okay, so you can go and get those frozen worlds from the library, or I believe you can also get them from new and featured.
Perfect.
And you might have to scroll a little bit, but if you scroll down, you can find Frozen Ocean here too. It's one of the newer worlds that up. So I think we're about 3 rows down, and it's the first one here. So I'm going to click on that.
Dan, I'm noticing that there were 2 there with a polar bear. So is there a difference?
Yes, there is. So there's Frozen Ocean and there's Frozen World. So we are doing Frozen Ocean today, I believe, right? I'm correct about that.
Yep.
So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click Create World, and it's going to throw me into this world. So I will warn everyone just a little bit in advance. It's a little different than what you're used to start with Minecraft. So we're not going in and building in the same way that we were before. So I might quickly review the Minecraft controls a little bit when we go to our build challenge near the end of our time here today. But for this, we'll just jump into it. I'll make note of where you might need to do something and how to do things.
It's a neat looking world.
Yeah.
Is that a killer whale that we see in the background there?
Okay, so these worlds were developed in cooperation with David Attenborough and the BBC.
That's neat.
So, and it says right away for us here, for the best possible experience, switch to a third-person view. Now, to do that in Minecraft, we're in a first-person view right now, so I can see my hands, but I can't see the rest of me. So, to get to a third-person point of view, I'm going to press F5 on my keyboard. And then if I walk forward using the W key, and you can actually show your keyboard hints here as well, you can press H. So you can see that W is forward, S is back, A is left, D is right, space is jump. And that's all I'm going to show you right now, because right now we have to walk to this door here. And we're going to open this door. So I'm going to right click here. So if you're using a Chromebook, to right click, you're going to use what we call the snake bite, not snake bite, which is two fingers tapping on your keypad, or on your mouse pad, I should say. So two fingers together tapping on your mouse pad is a right click on a Chromebook. So I'm on a PC right now, so I'm going to right click my mouse to open the door, and I'm going to walk through it, and it's going to take us through to our first activity in Frozen World 2.
Okay. And we will wait there for just a moment with everybody as well, which is great. You can take a look around though. That's pretty cool.
So you can't do anything really to begin with. You have to wait until it starts.
Okay. BBC Frozen Planet. That's cool.
So there's a bit of a trailer that'll take you through at the beginning here.
Okay. And we could use Immersive Reader as well to read this. It's at the top.
Actually, you can't. You're locked in right now.
Oh, are we?
So yeah, we're in David Attenborough talking right now. I don't know if you can hear the audio for that.
No, and we're not hearing him. That's too bad.
Okay, so yeah, David Attenborough is talking right now, and the text is at the bottom of the screen. So we're kind of just locked into this intro.
Okay. And that's okay, because we can definitely, if people are going to pause and play, they can fast forward and do whatever they want to do with this part as well. When, yeah, later on, if they have to catch back up to us, so that's okay. We're in Frozen Ocean.
Okay, so I am the polar bear. We are the polar bear in this activity. So we're not going to go through all of Frozen Planet 2. Let's see here. Back here. Right, there we go.
Okay.
So I'm in third person view, and I'm the polar bear. So I have to get my cubs here. I have to get them to that beacon on the ice floe.
Okay.
And if I press my space bar, I make a little roaring sound, and then they come to me. So
right, because it said press jump, right? So jump is your space bar. So
jump is normally space bar, but in this context of this little mini game, it's a growl to get the cubs to pay attention, to come and follow me. So I'm just roaring here a little bit as I walk along, and I'm going to try to find a path to that beacon that's not going to go into the water. I'm going to get a little roar again, make sure to look behind me. Come on, guys. They will just wander off and lose focus.
Can you get your sound to work actually, Dan, as well, or not? I suppose it might.
That's a good question. I don't know if I can or not. We'll just carry on. Oh,
okay.
What happened? Oh, one of the polar bears fell into the water. Okay.
Oh, so do you have to start again if the polar bear falls into the water?
Takes me back to the last point. So
okay.
I'm just going to roar here again.
Yes.
And there we go. So I've reached the first one, and my polar bear cubs are all the way back there. I'm just going to keep roaring, and hopefully they pay attention and move over here. So this is a little challenging. They will wander into the water, and you'll have to start over. And there's other things that will happen in a few moments as well that might cause you to have to go back as well. So it may take you quite a few tries to get through this. And it's a little bit of a maze here.
Okay.
So it's a maze that we're trying to work our way through, getting across this ice floe.
And it's funny because I'm noticing here that so Anders has said that he's been working on placing 100,000 TNT, and Patricia's been working on a home. So some of them have been playing Minecraft before. I'm not seeing too many people saying this is their very first time. But if it is your very first time, please tell us right in the chat so that we know that we need to be showing some other instructions as well for while you're in Minecraft. We don't want anybody being frustrated with that. Ashley is saying we don't have F5. Now, do they need an F5 for function 5?
They will need F5 to go into that third person perspective.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to remember my Chromebook because it's been a very long time since I've had a Chromebook.
Do you want me to?
So maybe Google it really quickly and
Okay.
see. So right now I've got a male polar bear, and the male polar bears will attack juvenile polar bears. So you have to do here is a left click to sort of stand up and growl threateningly at the male polar bear. Oh, and my polar bear cub walked up to the male one. And these are dangers that polar bears experience in real life. Again, trying to work their way across ice floes, particularly now that global warming is melting the ice sheet, and there's less of it and more parts that are open ocean. It is much more difficult for polar bears to find their way around and find food.
So when I Googled that just to check it out, and I said, how do I press F5 in a Chromebook? It said to hold down the control and click the reload button.
Control reload. Okay, so reload, I believe, is a fourth key along the top. So we sort of circle with an arrow on it.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
And we're talking about the Arctic here as well. And so some of the things we didn't chat about this with the students as well, but some of the resources that are up here, and this is why humans are actually interacting so much now with the Arctic, and it's important to to be looking and thinking about what the ecosystem really is. But there are major reserves of oil and petroleum, natural gas, all kinds of. Don't know whether you've ever been hearing now about the Canada North diamonds. They actually found diamonds up in the north as well. Yeah. So there's copper, nickel, all kinds of components that they're wanting to use for technology, right? Different things go into phones, and all these different little metals have to be used for all kinds of stuff for humans. So they're there, and they're there to be gotten, I guess, but that's the thing that they have to watch for. There's believe it or not, there's over 2,000 species of algae alone up in the Arctic. 2,000 species. I know. I didn't either. I looked it up. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. All right, so you're still trying to get out to the ice floe. We're not really seeing a lot of the other animals, though, are we?
No, not yet. So, trying to remember what polar bears eat. So typically seal, I think, is one of the things that they prey on a lot.
For sure.
They'll wait for them at a breathing hole and wait for them to come up.
Right. Yeah, and if you think about it, so a polar bear, you think about whether, they're definitely the predator. Is there anything, and maybe students, you can actually, I know that you're already into your game here trying to do your thing, so I'm not going to expect it to find things in the chat, but, they're the highest predator. They're the top predator that is up there.
Apex predator, right?
That's right, yeah. So it's one of those things that there's not a lot of things that can kill the polar bear. Humans obviously are above everything else on any of these, but they and killer whales, I think, are considered the apex ones up there. What about a walrus? Does walrus eat seal, do you think?
I don't remember much about walruses. It's been a long time since I used to watch documentaries actually with David Attenborough on them, and many years ago all the time. Wild Kingdom, I think that was maybe one of the ones that he did.
Yeah.
And I vaguely remember an episode on walruses, but I don't remember much about it now. It's been a few years.
And that's allowed, don't worry. They actually very rarely eat seals.
Oh,
They
okay.
like smaller things more, like they'll clams and small fish and that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know that they're very aggressive.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, your
Okay, so
cubs are having a great time there.
I reached the hunting ground. So like I said, that could be quite challenging to get past those male bears that keep coming at you. So I had to kind of go back and chase them off and then go back and get my bear cubs to focus on me and pull them away.
Right. So 10 minutes is all they get to be able to be down below and trying to hunt something.
Hmm.
And so you have to stop again here with this too
Hmm.
until they finished. Okay. Oh,
Oh, here's our walruses.
hey, look, there's the walrus. Each adult weighs more than a ton. And hearing, oh, I can't read it very well. Sorry, without the support of
Okay.
water. Oh, and holding themselves up. I know they're huge, right?
Yeah.
But so the students will be able to hear this themselves because they have their
Yeah.
screens will be going. Okay. Nice. Nice, easy way of getting down. Did they really do that? That's funny.
I guess so.
That is wild. Oh, now you got your next area. Okay. Walruses in the water.
Okay, so I'm just a rolling
Oh,
because
you're
I'm trying to.
taking
It's an
out some of those
obstacle
other
course. I'm
ones
just
too.
trying to use my A and D keys to roll past and not collide with the rocks
Rocks.
or
Other one.
other walruses. Okay, so I just.
I
Oh,
would be
there we go. I
so
got
bad
one
at
in.
that. Yeah.
There we go.
Yay. There you
I
go.
like the graphics here. This is quite. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just using my A and D keys to move back and forth and sort of dodge in and out of these different things. And I'm just
That's,
kind of curious here. What happens if I hit? Oh,
oh,
okay.
oh, you
If
have
I
to
hit
start
a rock or
again.
another walrus, I start over again. Okay, so
Don't hit.
back to 0 of 3.
Oh no.
I have to start over entirely.
Wow. That's harsh. But I guess you killed the
Yeah.
walrus, you killed him, so that'd be the point. Poor thing.
Okay, so
All
there's
right.
there's one again.
Yeah.
So
Splash.
maybe we'll finish this activity and then we'll go over to the build activity after this. Are we on schedule for that or?
Yes, yeah, we are. That would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be
Well,
nice just to see what happens just after this one. And so this is again, this is a place that you can come back to. Ooh, and you had me worried there, Dan. You had me worried. I'd be the one that'd be like hitting it all the time anyways. This is sort of like a car race, right? Where you have to get around.
yeah, this has got an arcade kind of flavor to it, and actually it reminds me very much of a adventure game I played back in the '80s. I'm dating myself here.
Woohoo.
Space Quest, where you had to maneuver around all sorts of obstacles over a desert.
Okay. Watch it. We don't want to go back to zero. Thank you. Good. Well done. See, I'd be getting more tense and more tense as it goes along because I'm like, oh no, I don't want to mess it up now. All right. So we got all the walruses. Good job.
Okay, so I'll back out of here now.
Let's just see what this area
Okay,
is
next,
just
let's see what
quickly.
the
Yeah.
next one is. Okay.
Just to see what it is. And then, yeah, we're gone. That's great. Because then that'll be on the recording as well and they'll see it. So you've equipped the camera and a journal. Your job is to document this area of environmental research. Oh, perfect. Take photos of the animals and locations listed. All right.
Okay.
So this is good. So this will be where and we're okay to let the students continue with this, or you can come with us and come and see what we're doing as well with the build. You're going to be able to go into here and maybe
Okay, so to get back to that first person view, you'll have to tap your F5 button a couple of times. So it was the control refresh button, I think you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
on the Chromebook.
And I'm wondering if they can stay now in first person because you're following the line, like you're going to follow that little path, right? So if you follow those little dots, it should take you to where you're going to be going, shouldn't
Yeah.
it?
I've got a camera here already, so it's
Okay.
on my hotbar. So if I want to, I can use my scroll wheel to select it, or I can press 3 on my on my numbers on my Chromebook, and that'll select the camera, and then I can start taking pictures. So I suspect these blue areas are areas where I would be taking pictures. Oh, and that's interesting. There is I can't get over to it, but there's a polar bear eating out of a
Okay.
dumpster.
Okay. So you could have a picture of that. That's definitely an impact that's happening up there, right? So there's a journal page for you that you could
Yeah.
talk about.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to
So this,
right click with my my mouse there to take a picture, or again the double tap,
okay.
snake bite on your mouse pad. Okay, so we're going to quit here and go to our build challenge now. Maybe
Okay.
take one more picture.
Yeah, I'm just so this is good for it looks like if you follow those blue dots, oh, he got away from you faster than you could get the picture. So yeah, so in this, oh, there we go. You got a walrus back again. You can get his picture there now. Get him rolling. So yeah, so it looks like as you're going along, you're going to be able to look in your journal as well. And how did you get into your journal there, Dan? Just so that we leave them with that as well.
Yeah, so I scrolled over there, and that would be 7 on my my hotbar. If you press 7, it'll bring up the journal, and you can flip through the pages there. And right click or left click to go forward and back. So right click to go forward, left click to go back. So I took some pictures of the walrus there, but apparently that wasn't necessarily something that got added to the... Oh, there we go. I
There we
guess
go.
you have to
Okay.
be careful how you're taking that picture for it to show up in the journal.
There it is now. Okay, so you're going to actually find out information about all the animals, which is really great. I mean, and I think finally this is where the meat of this program is going and finding out information about all the animals and the and it might even be some abiotic factors as well that are going on that you'll actually get some information about too. So there's those dots again that you're following. It's
Yeah.
taking you over to another animal or another thing.
Yeah, you might have to walk quite a ways to get to where some of the dots are.
Mm-hmm.
And this is survival mode, sort of. So
Just be careful.
yeah, you can't fly.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Beautiful. Oh, that's great. I'm glad that we got to that point because it shows that there's meat in there as well. It wasn't just a game. That's perfect. So educators, you can continue with that if you want to, or if you want to join us, we're actually going to do a little bit of a build as well. So if I come back here, what we thought that could happen as well is that hopefully you've been studying ecosystems now already. And if not, again, you may need to pause and just kind of take a little while and even come back to this and decide, okay, what ecosystem really interests me? What's happening in that ecosystem and what animals belong there, what abiotic factors are happening there as well, what does the soil look like, what's the temperature, all of those things you need to be thinking about, because if you're going to actually build an ecosystem, a small one, like I love the fact that there were the one class was talking about a pond. That's an ecosystem, and you can actually think about the things that are going to be in your ecosystem and how humans impact that ecosystem as well. So if we go back and take a look at the library and just make sure, Dan, that I'm doing the steps correctly here, and then you'll do it live. We'll go back to view library again. So we'd exit out of our game that we were in before. And then you're going to go into starter worlds. Okay, so starter worlds are there. And we're going to choose a biome. So you can go anywhere in the world with these biomes. They are everywhere. So you can choose any biome that you want as well. Now for today, Dan, I think you're going to choose a forest, right?
I think I've selected a river biome, but it's
Really?
heavily forested, so it's very similar.
Okay, all right, sounds good. So he's going to go in and do that now. And just while if you're going to come along with us and create another ecosystem or create an ecosystem, maybe you can let us know about that as well in the chat and what kind of an ecosystem might you build, okay, if you're going to do that with us. Okay, so I'm going to come back out and let Dan go back into his.
All
There.
right, so to get those biomes, we're going to view library, and we're going to go to starter worlds, and we're going to go to biomes.
Perfect.
So as Mary said, we have a lot of different options here. There's basically roughly one biome analog for pretty much everywhere in the world. So you can scroll through it and see which one you'd like to do. So I've picked a river biome
Okay.
where I'm going to be doing my build. And all you need to do is click on it and click create world, and it will throw you into that world. So I'm going to go back. Well, actually, I'll do that right now, and then I'll jump into the one that I've already got pre-created.
That's great. And again, if you have to pause so that you can do this, then please feel free to do that. Don't forget that we'll be back here. That's no problem.
Okay, so I'm in the river biome right now. You're going to want to hit escape. So press ESC up in the top right of your keyboard and go to settings. So a couple of things you might want to do here is we are in creative mode, which is what we want to be in. But if we scroll down here, I would probably toggle on always day. Because otherwise it'll go to night and it's harder to see what you're doing. So I typically, whenever I'm doing content building, I'm in always day. And that's all you really need to do here. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to save and exit for now. And I'm going to jump into a world that I've already got. And then I'm going to go through just some of the basics of Minecraft just to make sure that we're all in the same location in terms of how to actually interact with the program and work in it. So I'm going to view my worlds, and here's my river biome here, and I'm going to click play. And the reason I'm loading this one is because I've been a little cheeky. I've got something in this world that you don't have in yours. So I'm going to do my build based on, you know what, I'm going to stop that weather as well here.
Yeah. Let's have a nice day.
Yeah. Weather clear. So what I've done is I've added beavers to my world here because that's what I'm going to be building today. I'm going to be building an ecosystem that it's essentially been created by beavers. So you can see them here. And so what I've actually done is I've grabbed these beavers because they're not normally available in Minecraft. So what I've done is I've grabbed them from the Manitou Abbey Aki world, which is a brilliant world. Highly recommend visiting that on sometime if you have some time. It's a lot of fun and you learn a lot about indigenous communities and that one. But I grabbed the animals from it and I imported them as a resource pack into this world. So I can actually place beavers, which I think is pretty cool. Now I'm also going to build a beaver too. So if I didn't actually if I hadn't done this, I would build a beaver as well to demonstrate what animal I was focusing on. So I'm going to do both, but I wanted them there just as a bit of an aesthetic thing. So let's talk very quickly about how to do things in Minecraft and how to move around and so forth. So I've already shown you the keyboard hints. We can press H to hide and show the keyboard hints. So W forward, S is back, A is left, D is right. Space is jump, or if you double tap and hold down on that space bar, it's fly. So I can fly up. If I press my left shift button, I can fly down, or if I double tap my space bar again, I'm going to come crashing down to the earth. If I want to access my inventory, which is really what Minecraft is about, right? It's about building things. So I need my inventory in a creative mode. I have total access to pretty much everything through the inventory. So I'm going to press E. So that brings me my inventory, and I'm on the search tab right now. So I can search for things in here, wood, iron, so forth. And if I want to get them onto my hotbar, so my hotbar is my sort of my palette that I'm using to create with. So I want those things that I'm going to be building with active on my palette. So I'm going to type in a log here because I'm going to want some logs for my building. I might grab a couple of different types here. So I'm just left clicking them and then dragging them down and dropping them into my hotbar here. And if I want to get rid of one of them, I can just tap on it and drop it back here and open up another space again. Or I can even just swap them out by clicking on the same space. And if you're not familiar with all the items that are in Minecraft, you can always just scroll through. There's a little scroll bar here you can grab with your left click and sort of drag up and down to see all the different items. Or there's category views as well. So if you click on this little brick wall here, shows you all the blocks in a category view. So you can click the plus signs to expand and see what's listed under stone, for example.
Nice.
And so that is your inventory. So now that I've got my hotbar, I can use my scroll wheel to move between those items, or I can use the number keys. So 1 is slot 1, 2 is slot 2, so forth and so on. Now you'll notice at the front of my screen here, actually it's getting towards night now, so I'm just going to remember to switch in here very quickly and make sure it's always day.
Yeah.
And then click back arrow here and escape to go back in. So you'll notice in the center of the screen there, I got that plus sign. So that's my point of focus. So I'm going to walk wherever I'm pointing that. So if I want to walk over to that beaver there, I'm going to move my mouse to move that point of focus towards the beaver, and then I can walk over it pressing the W key. Okay. And if I look at the ground here, you'll notice as I'm pointing at the sand, there is a square outline around it. That means it's a space that I can interact with. So I've got my plus sign pointed at that. If I move it up far enough, it will disappear. So outside of about 4 or 5 blocks radius, you can no longer interact with blocks. You have to be within about 4 or 5 blocks to be able to interact with them. So I can either place a block here or break a block here or interact with a particular thing if there's a switch or a lever or something like that. In this case, I'm just going to be placing and breaking blocks. So I'm going to place a log here. So just point there and place it down. So I did that using a right click. So right click to place blocks, left click to break blocks.
Perfect.
So started a little log tower here, and of course I can't see the top of that, so I can't place anything else on it. That's where flying comes in handy. So in creative mode we can fly and we can see the top of that, and I can fly up to place more blocks and make it taller. Which means that, you know, as opposed to survival mode where I'd have to use scaffolding or build things up around it to build, I don't have to do that in survival mode. And that's the basics of how Minecraft operates. So I'm going to start building a beaver lodge, and I'm going to build a dam across where the beavers are here. And so I've already got my beaver pond here, which would be created by a beaver dam, but I need to place my dam in here to make it look realistic. And I've got a smaller stream exiting where that pond is, which I think which is what you would see at a beaver dam, right? You'd see the dam and then a smaller stream kind of coming out from there. All right, so let's dam this up then. And the reason I picked beavers is because beavers are very intelligent and ingenious creatures. They're very, very smart at essentially creating their own ecosystem. And it's an ecosystem which, without them, if you were to take them away, and that's actually what happened in Britain many centuries ago. We used to have beavers in Great Britain, and then by the 16th century, they'd been hunted to extinction in Great Britain. So we lost a lot of our wetlands because the beavers were the ones that made them, and wetlands attract more animals and more variation in the type of animals that are there, and it attracts more predators. And you know, you have your apex predators there, then that means that there's all sorts of other flora and fauna that they're keeping under control and making sure that it's not getting out of out of control, which happened in some of the big national parks in the United States. They removed all the wolves, and then the deer explosions exploded and they ate everything, and then everything died. So they've brought wolves back into a lot of places so that there's an apex predator there, making sure that everything else is in balance. So it's really important to have all these different creatures in these ecosystems working together as they do. So in Britain, they're starting to reintroduce beavers in some pilot projects. They've started to reintroduce wolves and things like that to try to bring back some of the ecosystems that we've lost in the last few hundred years. So humans have been destroying ecosystems, unfortunately, for quite a while before they even really knew what ecosystems were.
Yeah, that's the thing. And Dan, I'm just going to let you know, just because I know you build very, very quickly anyways, which is great, but you have about 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. But it's great. We can still talk as well. Really, really, I think that's amazing to think. I don't know whether that's a great idea or not. I still, in my mind, I'm not sure if I agree with trying to bring Canadian beavers into Great Britain, because I don't know. It could be great. It could.
I don't think it'll make anything worse. I think it will probably restore things to how they were, at least in those areas hundreds of years ago.
Right.
Certainly in the national parks in the United States where they've reintroduced wolves, it's brought all sorts of life back and restored those ecosystems.
Yeah.
So there's been a longer gap here, so I don't know how that will impact things. I think, like farming might have to, work alongside these projects to make sure that they're not being unduly affected
Right.
by some of these changes.
And I'm seeing that in your ecosystem there too, you already have some fish. And I know that in the inventory, there are certain fish in that as well. So if that is something that people, somebody wants to be building, if they're thinking that they're doing a river kind of ecosystem or a pond, there are definitely fish that are in the inventory. They don't have to build or create any animals for that. But I love the idea too that in this ecosystem, you do already have your trees. But if you were to go into just block of grass in Minecraft and completely create your ecosystem right from scratch, which some of our students might do if they're really, really great at Minecraft, research, figure out exactly what kind of trees belong in your ecosystem, and the trees and the grasses and the ferns, the mushrooms, anything, and see whether or not those things are actually already in the inventory too in Minecraft, and you can build your own ecosystem completely. That'd be neat to see as well.
So I think, in Ontario, I remember there was a lot of maple trees and birch trees.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually have a lot of birch trees around here and maple trees around here. I had initially thought they were indigenous only to North America, but apparently that's not true. There's all sorts of different types of species of birch, and they're all over the Northern Hemisphere. I'm starting my lodge here.
Perfect.
A lodge will have a little bit of a hole in it where the beavers can come up.
This is very different from building a hydroelectric dam last week, eh?
It is. It's not symmetrical.
Good. Oh, you're starting to make it symmetrical.
I'm trying not to. It's one of my problems. I always build symmetrically, so it's hard when you suddenly have to switch to doing something not quite like that.
You're doing great. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
It's looking very asymmetrical. It's great.
I wish they had smaller sticks in
Yeah.
Minecraft.
It's a neat idea, though, the way that you're doing it.
A little beaver lodge.
Yeah, can you swim in there? Yeah.
Okay, so we get inside here, and I'm gonna grab a beaver here.
Oh, cool.
All right, so we'll see if I guess I'll try building a beaver now out of blocks. So let's see if I have enough time to do it.
Sure. Yeah. And what we're doing today is just a snippet of what you can do at back in your school and back at home too. So yeah, please, hopefully this is just giving you some ideas. We want you to think outside the box and do your own thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so Emmett was asking, how do you get beavers? Yeah, and Dan brought them in from another world, but he's going to show you here how to kind of build it, how he would build an animal as well, so that can be an idea for you as well.
Yeah. And Minecraft is always about doing different things and approaching things in different ways.
Mhm.
And yeah, I kind of cheated there. I wanted a beaver, so I grabbed them from a resource pack that I'd made myself uh, from creatures that I'd grabbed from the Manitou Abiaki world.
Yeah.
Um, but that's not always an option. So frequently, I typically just build the animals. I think my favorite so far has been an elephant I made.
Oh, neat.
I try to. My daughter's actually much better at making animals than I am.
Oh, yeah. Can you make
Um,
them move after as well?
I could animate them perhaps, but I'd have to make several versions of the animal
Okay.
and then use some commands to basically
Oh.
I'd build the animals, I'd hide them, and then I'd have a command run that would show each of them like a cartoon frame.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be able to animate them and have them do something, but it would be basically referencing these scenes that I'd already built.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah.
So it may not be a very great looking beaver.
Beaver.
It's hard. Um,
Yeah, and Dan and I were talking earlier. It would be, I mean, if students wanted to, and teachers as well, send a note off to Minecraft and say, can you just give us a file that has all kinds of different animals that we can put into whatever build we're trying to build, right? Because it is very time consuming and tricky and you have to know what you're doing to be able to go and get an animal from another world and bring it over.
yeah,
It takes a
it's
lot to do.
not. I will say this: it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah,
Making a resource pack.
right.
It does take a long while to get used to all the different things that you need to do to make it work.
Right, right. Oh, I see.
So
I see a beaver-ish looking thing
it's
happening
it's
here.
it's starting to get there. I think I'm gonna
Absolutely.
make those front legs a little shorter. There we go. Kinda. Might need to go back and upscale that a bit more. So I need some eyes and a nose. So I'm gonna use buttons for that.
Oh, good. I
Dark
was
one
gonna say, what do
here.
you use for eyes in that? Yeah.
It's tricky, yeah. So let's get some eyes going on here. Those are too brown. I'm gonna go with those. So I've got some eyes, and I need some teeth. So what am I
Mm-hmm.
going to use for the teeth here? Let me look in my inventory for a second.
Will it give you anything white?
Hmm. Um, those might be too big, but we'll see. That's not bad. I think that'll do in a pinch anyway.
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, ears. They're usually kind of flattened back
They are.
with beavers,
Maybe
aren't they?
maybe those little half panels that you sometimes use
Oh,
the
yeah, you're
bus.
right. Trapdoors. That's a brilliant
Yeah,
idea. Why didn't I? Yeah, do
it's okay.
trapdoors. Great. And yeah, again, there's just so many different ways of approaching things in Minecraft. So you can try all sorts of different things. Now it kind of looks like a dog of some sort. I should have upscaled that slightly. I think I should have made it about 3 blocks for the wide for the head, so I'd be
Okay.
able to fit a nose in there. But I don't think
That's
that's a bad
okay.
start.
No, that's right. No, and that's exactly it, right? It's just thinking it through and trying to see what
Mhm.
else as the
Yeah,
cow walks on top of it.
yeah, there's no right or wrong way, right? Like it's Minecraft. You can go back, you can break it if you didn't like the way it turned out. You can go back and try it again, and do something different.
That's right. Right. Well, I
So,
wonder,
mhm.
I'm going to come back here. We still have a couple of minutes if you want to, if there's
Yeah,
anything else that you wanted to add in. Do you want to put some fish and things into your, behind your dam, or what, do
that's
you want
that's ex-
a human impact?
that's exactly what I was doing. Was I was going to add some more wildlife in to show that the biome or the ecosystem had recovered more because there were more creatures living here. So again,
Nice.
these are ones that are not available in Minecraft regularly. I've nicked them from somewhere else. We've got some crows, we've got some bears here.
And you know what?
Let's
Just
grab some. Mhm.
seeing your bears, they can actually upsize that to create their own bear too. Like if they
Yeah,
see your beaver, then they can actually create a beaver as well. So you're getting some fish in there.
yeah. So I'm putting in lots more fish here. I'm
Because the
dropping
bear
lots of fish in.
needs that.
So lots of fish now in the little pond here. So these are Minecraft ones, definitely, that everybody can access. Let's
Yeah.
get some salmon in there. I need my salmon egg here.
Nice.
There we go. So lots of fish, and there's a squid in there. that is not normally what you'd find in a beaver pond.
No, that's for sure. And of course, the salmon need their food as well. So down below, there's already algae and and different
Yeah.
seaweed and things that's in there as well.
Yeah, so for a human impact, what would happen here is if I hunted all the beavers, then the wetland would disappear. Once the wetland disappears, then the animals would disappear. But also, because beavers create these ecosystems where you get a lot of water stored in one place, it helps those forests survive, like wildfires and things like that. So if you have a wildfire roar through an area with a beaver dam, the trees are that much more likely to survive because there's more water for those things to stay very moist. Whereas if you have a wildfire roar through somewhere where, like for example, in some of those national parks in the United States where they've had a lot of wildfires where everything's dried out and becomes super dry because of a drought, they're less able to handle droughts in those areas because there's less water there to sustain that and keep it wet.
Right.
So that's one thing that I was reading more recently is like, yeah, beavers can help protect ecosystems from things like fire and drought just because they've helped store more water there.
No, that's great. So I hope then that some of the students that have been with us today then are thinking about the fact that you take a look at one animal and see what its impact is on its ecosystem. And if today you just played and we're trying to sort of figure things out, or you stayed in the Arctic and you went through that game, which is great as well, then maybe now your next step, although we're leaving that to you and your teachers, maybe your next step is to think about, okay, what could I create? What kind of a world could I create? And make that balance become a better balance too, because I think that's part of where we have to be thinking ahead is to, all right, we've affected these ecosystems. How can we also now affect them positively as well, so that our negative effects can start being erased as well, which is there. Well, that's great. Oh, look at adding more lily pads. So then you could have frogs there, and you can have, so therefore tadpoles would be there. Like that's the thing, right? Is all of these things start adding more and more and more depth into your ecosystem. So yeah, don't just stop at just building a dam, right? Make sure that you think about all the other things that should be there for it as well. That's excellent. All right, I'm going to just take off your screen there now, Dan. Thank you so
Okay.
much, yep, for building into that. I think you're good with where you've gotten to so far, anyways. Today, I'm sure that Dan's now going to go back afterwards, and he'll be playing completely and getting things continuing.
I'm going to fix the beaver. I wasn't quite satisfied with it.
Yeah. And you can tweet that out later on, anyways, right? And say, okay, this is what it turned out like. So if you can tell us in the forum from today, what kind of an ecosystem did you build, or did you start to think about? Because maybe you haven't started to build anything yet. You might just be in that research stage, and that's fine too. But send us a little note on our forum, and we'd love to hear from you. And we've got to say goodbye for today. It's almost time here now, but if you have a chance to send us something over, that would be great. And great work, everybody. Whatever it is that where you are at, Cobblestone Collective is on Twitter. So if your teacher happens to be there on Twitter as well, please post something up and we can see what you've been working on as well. And we'll leave that with you for today. Dan, last words that you have to say to everybody?
Just thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Lots of, incredible, great answers there in the forum today. Thank you so much for participating so much. We've had a lot of fun with you, and hopefully, we'll get to see you again soon.
That sounds great. Absolutely. And I'm just seeing here, Patricia, that is great. She's building a desert. So something's going on in there. And we'll just a couple people that have added in before we leave, we'll let them have a little shout out here as well.
Okay.
Anders is building a chicken farm. That's cool. And Levi has a panda farm and a house. And Holden, bye-bye. We'll see you again another time. That's great. All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.